Shalom to the hopeful elect of Israel. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High Yahawah, BAHASHAM, Yahawashi, Yahawah being the true name of the Father, and Yahawashi being the true name of the only begotten Son. In the ancient Hebrew tongue, double honors to the head apostles and elders of Greatmillstone who taught me this truth, along with the sincere brethren that's also doing the work as well. And peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. As I said, the scattered Israelites, which would be you so-called Negroes and Latinos and natives, who are the children of Israel according to Scripture. All right, so this lesson is going to be pretty much proving the fact that the Most High only deals with one group of people, and those people were indeed the Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and natives, all right, who are called the hidden ones in Psalms the 83rd chapter, because you don't know who you are according to your heritage. All right. And also the fact that every other nation outside of that are enemies of the Most High. All right. And that's pretty hard for a Christian to believe, but hey, it is what it is. You know, they're going to find out the hard way. But for you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and natives, you can want to sit and watch this lesson. And I'm going to prove it to you, according to Scripture, that this book is only dealing with you, the children of Israel. All right. So without further ado, let's get into it. This is Baruch chapter 4, verse 3. It says, "Give not thine honor to another nation, nor the things that are profitable unto thee to a strange nation." Verse 4, "O Israel, happy are we, for things that are pleasing to Yahawah are made known unto us." And once again, his name is not God. His name is Yahawah. God just means power in Greek. His true name is Yahawah, and the Son's name is Yahawashi. All right, so this is telling you right here that the Most High is only dealing with the nation of Israel. So the things that are made known are made known to Israel. All right, and that has not changed. All right, so let's go to Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus 17:17. It says, "For in the division of the nations of the whole earth, he set a ruler over every people, but Israel is the Lord's portion." All right, so in the land of Israel, in Jerusalem, he chose one group of people to make a covenant with, and that covenant was to keep the law that was given to them by Moses. All right, and this was a covenant between them and the Most High, and not between any other nation. Okay, and that covenant or promise was for them to keep the law, and in doing it, they would be blessed above all nations. But if they did not keep the law, then it would be the total opposite. And they would have to serve other nations and be at the bottom. All right. So the Most High, out of all these women, these different nations and guys are called different strange women, the Most High chose one woman. All right, which was Israel. Okay. So in knowing that Israel often in the past went and worship other gods, and that was fornication. That was like, but if you're a man, if you have a wife and your wife goes out and cheat and commits fornication with other people, then you're allowed to cast that woman off. All right, and that's what the Most High did with Israel, because he considers Israel a comely and delicate woman. All right, but Israel always whored off and worship other gods, and that was like stepping out and seeing other men. All right, so let's go to Psalms 96. Psalms 96 and 5. Let's see. Yeah, it says, "For all the gods of the nations are idols, but the Lord made the heavens." Right. So the gods of all these other nations are idols. And Israel, back when they were delivered from Egypt, got a round trip of all the different gods of the nations and how they committed all kinds of abomination, and they were told not to worship those gods. All right, but over a period of time, they had got accustomed, or they got lackadaisical, and pretty much forgot the laws of the Most High and went and served these other gods, and therefore it was a snare unto them over a period of time, because they forgot about the Most High and his laws. Okay, so they were always brought low. But yeah, all the gods of the nations are idols. It's every nation outside of Israel. All right. Let's go to, let's further prove that Most High is only dealing with one group. It's Amos 3:1. It says, it says, hear this word that the Lord has spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth, of all the nations of the earth, the Most High only knew Israel. All right. Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities. You see, can't two walk together except they be agreed. Right. So, like I was saying earlier, Israel was committing iniquity against the Most High by not keeping His commandments. And that first commandment was not to worship other gods, and that's what they did. And that's like the ultimate sin. So once they did that, they were cast off into the other nations to be in subjection unto these other nations. And therefore they were brought low. They were brought to the point to where they were servants and slaves to these other nations, when in reality they were supposed to keep the commandments and be on top of these other nations, and these other nations were supposed to be servants and slaves up under them. All right. So that was a penalty for not keeping the law. That's why the Most High said, therefore will I punish you for all your iniquities. All right, because they're bound by that covenant. All right. So let's go to Jeremiah 17:4, and that main punishment this time was the loss of our heritage, where we came from. That's why you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Natives don't know your original heritage, because the Most High took away from you. Jeremiah 17:4. It says, and thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not, for yet kindle a fire in mine anger which shall burn forever, and is still burning. Right? Thus saith the Lord, cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departed from the Lord. And if you are familiar with the natives, they made a pact or an agreement with the so-called white man, which is the enemy of the Most High. And the forefather of the so-called white man is Esau. Alright, so when they came over here on ships, Christopher Columbus and his crew or whatever, they formed an alliance with these people. Alright, and the scripture tell you not to form an alliance in the law with these other nations. So that's what they did, and therefore it came back around and bit them in the ass. And that's how the natives were taken captives. Alright, and they were brought low because they disobeyed the law of the Most High. Alright, they trusted in these devils, Esau, who is the devil of the Bible, the so-called white man and his people. Alright, so once they did that, yeah, it came back and bit them, as I said. Alright, so let's go to First Maccabees. Alright, went too far. Alright, let's see. First Maccabees 2, I started 9, started 10. And this is going into, I wanted to get something else. Hold on, let me see. Before I get this, let me prove something. Alright, Jeremiah 6:2. It says, I have likened the daughter of Zion to a comely and delicate woman. And Zion is the monument of Israel, right? So the Most High have likened Israel to a comely and delicate woman because He made a covenant with them. All right, so knowing that, they were not supposed to go out and fornicate with these other nations and guys. All right, now let's go back to First Maccabees 2, start at 10. It says, what nation have not had a part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils, right? Because every nation outside of Israel has had a part in the destruction of Israel, all right? Because all in all, these other nations are jealous of Israel because they got the blessing. Right? The Most High chose them over the other nations, okay? It's like if you have a group of women and you have a man, he goes and he picks out the little, there's one, and all the rest of them are going to be jealous. Said that man is rich, but he chose that one female that he wanted over all the rest, and that would make them jealous. All right, that's a simple way to put it. So these other nations hated on Israel, all right, and they actually took part in the destruction of Israel, because if you go through the history of the Bible, they devise plans and tricks and snares in order to trap Israel into worshiping false gods and breaking the laws of the Most High, so they would be brought low, and they consented unto that. All right, it says, what nation have not had a part in her kingdom, and have gotten of her spoils? All her ornaments are taken away. Of a free woman she has become a bond slave. Israel was a free woman. All right, we were on top of the world, and we were free, but now we are brought low, and we are brought to having in subjection under the white man as slaves. All right? It says, and behold, our sanctuary, which is in Israel, even our beauty and our glory, is laid waste, and the Gentiles, the other nations, have profaned it. To what end, therefore, shall we live any longer? So if you look over in the land of Israel right now, you have the Khazars, which are the fake Jews over there. All right, they are trodden down the land of Israel and kicked us out, and they are portraying the role of our heritage, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Natives. All right, so this is a big mystery. This is what they have done to deceive the world. All right, we've been brought low because we disobeyed the Most High, and He set up someone else in our stead. All right, that's why they on top of the world right now. All right, but they about to be brought low. So let's go to Isaiah. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 40, 15. It says, behold, the nations are as a drop of a bucket, and are counted as a small dust of the balance. All right, when he says the nations are as a drop of a bucket, if you have a bucket full of water and you're carrying it around, and a drop escapes from that bucket, you're not gonna, you're not gonna care about that one drop. Okay, so that's what the Most High is equivalating the rest of these nations compared to Israel. All right, Israel is that whole bucket, and these nations are just a drop. Right now, counted as the small dust of the balance. Behold, he taketh with the owls as a very light thing. And Lebanon is not sufficient to burn, nor the beast, therefore thereof sufficient for a burnt offering. 17. All the nations before him are as nothing, and they are counted to him less than nothing in vanity. Right? To whom will you liken the Most High, or what likeness will ye compare unto him? Right? Because the Most High is in the process of making gods, and he chose Israel for that purpose. But you see, Israel would not obey the Most High. All right, so that's why we're in the state that we're in now. But we're turning back, and ultimately, this is going to be the last captivity. We've been through, I think, 7 captivities. This is the last one, completion. And after this, we will be changed into immortals, the ones that turn back, of course. All right, and it'll be an everlasting kingdom that will be set up by the nation of Israel. All right, and that nation will govern these other nations and how to live a righteous life according to the law. All right, that's why these nations right now are nothing compared to the Most High. All right, nothing more than a beast of the field. Now let's go to Exodus chapter 34, verse 12. And this was a warning to Israel from the Most High. Alright. It says, Israel warned of idolatry of Canaan. It says, let me read from the top. Let me highlight it. It says, observe thou that which I command thee this day. Behold, I drive out before thee the Amorite. And these are the so-called Japanese today. And the Canaanite, which are the so-called Africans, which are Hamites. Alright. And the Hittite, and the Perizzite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite. These are all different nations. Verse 12, take heed to thyself, lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land whither thou goest, lest they be for a snare in the midst of thee. Yeah, so if you want to worship these other gods of the other nations, then it would be a snare unto you. All right, because the Most High would turn his back on you, because you turn your back on him and you went and fornicated with another god. All right, simple as that. Verse 13, but ye shall destroy their altars, break their images, and cut down their groves. For thou shalt worship no other God, for the Lord, whose name is jealous, is a jealous power. All right, because Israel is a comely, delicate woman. You don't want her to go and fornicate with these other philosophies and doctrines. All right, lest thou, verse 15, lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, and they go a whoring after their gods, and do sacrifice unto their gods, and one call thee, and thou eat of his sacrifice. All right, so Israel often did this. They often dwelt long in the land. They got high-minded and very proudful, and they ended up doing their own thing and started worshiping these other deities, which were a snare under them. All right, and I just want to read this chapter in Genesis 11 to prove that all nations are not supposed to come together as one. And this is the Tower of Babel, which is Babal in ancient Hebrew, which means land of confusion, which means confusion. All right, and I'm gonna show you how this is symbolic with America today. All right, let me start from the top. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech, and it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, Go to, let us build us a tower, a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven. All right, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. Verse 5, here it is. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of the men builded. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them. It says, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and therefore confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left all to build the city. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of the earth. And that goes all the way back to Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus. That goes all the way back to, let me see, let me try to find Ecclesiasticus 17:17. It says, For in the division of the nations of the whole earth, you set a ruler over every people, but Israel is the Lord's portion. All right, so they were never supposed to come together. Those nations were never supposed to come together to make one language, because the Most High divided all nations, all right, to have their own gods and to do their own thing. All right, now I'm gonna show you how that relates to America, because America is called Mystery Babylon in Revelation 17, verse 5. It says, and upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. All right, so why is it called the mother of harlots? Because America accepts every religion and philosophy known to man, and all nations are allowed to come here. And what that causes is confusion. That's why it's called Babylon. Babylon is called land of confusion, and that's what America is. You know, you can believe what you want to believe, you can do what you want to do, and there's no consequences, pretty much. All right, and the Most High has a controversy with Mystery Babylon the Great. All right, so let's go down to verse 15. And he said unto me, The waters which I saw where the horse sitteth, which is America, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. So all peoples of every nations of every language come to America, and they are accepted into America. All right, so this is where the whore America sitteth. It says, verse 18, And the woman which I saw is a great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth. So what the Most High has in store for America, because it's taking on the cousins of ancient Babylon. Even the holidays of Christmas and Easter, that all comes from the ancient Babylon. All right, so what he's going to do is he's going to pin these other countries against America, and they're going to shoot missiles as accorded in the scripture, and they're going to destroy America, aka Babylon the Great forever. It's going to be woefully desolate, thus saith the scripture. So no nation was ever meant to come together. The reason why these nations have come together is because of Job 9:24. Because the earth is given to the hand of the wicked. The earth is given to the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where who is he? And that's talking about Esau, which is the so-called white man. All right, because he covered the faces of the true judges, which are the Israelites. They were so-called black men. All right, so he has a lot to pay. The earth was given to him for him to rule, and he did not rule it in righteousness. Therefore, he has to go into slavery, and his people. This is 2 Nephi 6:9. For Esau is the end of this world, and Jacob is the beginning of it to follow. Now we know that the Most High is the God of Jacob and not Esau. So Esau is in rulership. It's talking about the so-called white man. All right. Now, let's see. I want to go back to, let's go back to Brute. Let's get an end time prophecy and who was going to be saved. Now, let me start at the top. It says, this is the book of the commandments of the Most High, and the law they endure forever. All that keep it shall come to light, but such as leave it shall die. And that's why people are at now, they're in a dead state, because they have left the law. The Most High has cast us off as heathen. Except you come back into your heritage as an Israelite, you will be counted as a heathen. And 2/3 of our people will be counted as a heathen, the same as Esau, the so-called white man. If you don't turn back, you will be left here in America to suffer that destruction that's coming in the form of ICB and missiles. Alright, but what I want to get is verse 5. Alright, this is what's happening currently and what's going to happen eventually. It says, be of good cheer, my people, the memorial of Israel. Alright, you were sold to the nations, not for your destruction, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and natives, but because you moved Yahawah to wrath, you were delivered unto the enemies, Esau, so-called white man, and these other nations. For ye provoked him that made you by sacrificing unto the devils and not to the Most High. Ye have forgotten the everlasting power that brought you up, and ye have grieved Jerusalem that nursed you. For when she saw the wrath of Yahawah coming upon her, she said, hearken, O ye that dwell about Zion. The Most High have brought upon me great mourning. For I saw the captivity of my sons and daughters, which the everlasting brought upon them. With joy did I nourish them, but sent them away with weeping and mourning. See, we were once joyful, but we were sent away weeping and mourning. Let's talk about captivity. Let no man rejoice over me, a widow, and forsaken of many, who for the sins of my children are left desolate, because they departed from the law of the Most High. It says, verse 13, they knew not his statutes, nor walked in the ways of his commandments, nor tried in passive discipline in his righteousness. Let them that dwell about Zion come, and remember ye the captivity of my sons and daughters, which the everlasting have brought upon them. For he hath brought a nation upon them from far, a shameless nation, and of a strange language, who neither reverence the old man nor pity the child. They had carried away the dear beloved children of the widow, and left her that was alone desolate without daughters. But what can I help you? For he that brought these plagues upon you will deliver you from the hands of your enemies. Go your way, O my children, go your way, for I am left desolate. I have put off the clothing of peace, and put upon the sackcloth of my prayer. I will cry unto the everlasting in my days. 21. Be of good cheer, O my children, cry unto the Lord, and he shall deliver you from the power and hand of the enemy. For my hope is in the everlasting, that he will save you, and joy is come unto me from the Holy One, because of the mercy which shall soon come unto you from the everlasting Savior. And that's going into Yahawashi. Alright? The everlasting, our Savior, Yahawashi, is going to be the one that's going to deliver us. He's not coming to save. White Jesus is not coming to save you. Alright? His true name is Yahawashi. Alright, so if you call on white Jesus, the God of everybody, you're not going to be saved. It says, for I sent you out with mourning and weeping, but Yahawah will give you to me again with joy and gladness forever. Like as now, the neighbors of Zion have seen your captivity, so shall they shortly see your salvation from our power, which shall come upon you with great glory and brightness of the everlasting. Alright, my children suffer patiently the wrath that has come upon you from the Most High, for thy enemy have persecuted thee, but surely thou shalt see his destruction, and shalt tread upon his neck. My delicate ones have gone rough ways, and were taken away as a flock caught of the enemies. And that's dealing with the transatlantic slave trade. During the time when Christopher Columbus came and captured the natives. All the way up to now, man, the natives are catching hell at the border. They've been oppressed by the so-called white man. They've been split up and taken into concentration camps, you know. So these are the children of Israel, but salvation will come short if you turn back to your power. I'm gonna get one more and close it out. It says, behold, the Lord's hand is not shortened that it cannot save, neither his ear heavy that it cannot hear. It says, but your iniquities have separated between you and your power, and your sins have hid his face from you, that he will not hear. All right, and this is because, you know, Jeremiah 17:4, he calls us to lose our heritage. So you had to turn back into your power, into Yahawah and his son Yahawashi, and take heed to his judgments, and be converted back into an Israelite, because you were cast off as a Gentile. So if you're calling yourself an American, you're not going to be saved. All right, you have to come back into your heritage and believe in the names of the Father and of the Son, Yahawah and Yahawashi, and obey his word, and be preserved from this said perils that are coming upon the earth. All right, so I hope that was edifying. Till next time, I say shalom.